With My Hero Academia in its final arc, there's a lot of mysteries left unsolved, and since I'm not that smart, I'm gonna stick to one mystery that I can maybe solve, which is when are we gonna see the second user of One for All's quirk? Better yet, what is the second user of One for All's quirk? I know that the quirk is gonna be revealed in the big battle between Deku and Shigaraki. It's One for All versus All for One, the big thematic battle at the end of the series that determines how it's gonna end. The quirk is going to give Deku a leg up in this situation, and we're going to see how it's used creatively. But before the quirk gets revealed, I think I figured out what it might be. And if I get it right, it's going to up my credibility by a lot. And if I get it wrong, please subscribe. I'm a new YouTuber, I had to try it. But before we go into the second user's quirk, let's talk about every other quirk within One for All. The first user had two quirks actually that combined to make the basis of One for All, a stockpiling quirk and the ability to pass down the quirk. The third user used Fajin, a quirk that stores kinetic energy through repeated motions and then releases it in a powerful outburst. Side fact: Fajin is the term used in Chinese martial arts that refers to the use of explosive power, but it doesn't really apply to a specific fighting style. For example, a boxer can use an explosive right hook, and it basically uses Fajin. I just found that pretty interesting. Next we have the fourth user that used Danger Sense, a quirk that alerts the user of a malicious or murderous intent around them. Black Whip is the quirk of the fifth user, who can shoot out black inky tendrils that stick to walls, items, and can be used to move and even lift things. Next is Smoke Screen, used by the sixth user, which surprisingly creates smoke around the user's body. Who would have thought? Finally, we have the seventh user who used the quirk Float, which allows the user to levitate and move through the air. After seeing all these quirks, there's something that becomes more and more obvious. Yeah, these quirks are pretty bad, or at least they're underwhelming. All Might states in the manga that All For One went out of his way to collect strong quirks, so the powers passed down in One For All weren't the most powerful, but it went to the person they can trust the most. All these quirks can be considered more of a support type rather than a straight up attacking type quirk. In chapter 308, we see Deku's multiple quirks visualized as support items. Float was seen as a jetpack, Danger Sense was a radio, Black Whip was seen as a grappling hook, and Smokescreen was a flare. To follow this theme, I think Fajin can be seen as a spring or a spring-loaded weapon that uses stored up energy in an explosive manner. This leads us perfectly to the second user's quirk. Since he was technically the first person to be bestowed One for All, it's had the most time to stockpile and gain power with each generation. When we see the second user, he is using a support gear pointed directly at the first user, meaning that it is definitely used for attacking. The support gear itself looks like a combination of Bakugo's gauntlets and Kaminari's sharpshooting gear, which brings up a good question. How does the support gear actually help his quirk? It sounds like a strange question at first, but look at the two people I mentioned before. Bakugo's support gear builds up his sweat that can be later used in a massive attack, while Kaminari's gear shoots out a disc that allows all his electricity to be shot in a straight line at the disc. One of the support items relies directly on the quirk, Bakugo, while the other one thrives with the support item, but can be used independent. We also can't forget that Deku tried to use the second quirk to move faster while moving over the ocean, and the second user warns him that his quirk, or meta ability as he calls it, has turned to a very specific power that is hard to control. Taking all this information into account, I think the second user has a vacuum type quirk, or maybe a magnetism quirk. Let me explain. The second user has the ability to suck in material around him, like rocks, debris, or even air, then fire out using his support item. If you look at his support item, you can see that at the bottom there's a funnel shaped contraption that I think can be used to suck in all the material. Then when he's pointing it at the first user, you can see that there's actual gears in the item. Maybe that controls the speed at which the items are fired at. If you look at the vacuum quirk itself, it follows the trends of the other quirks. It's not very powerful, especially if the speed of it being drawn in is slow. The quirk is better used as support, as there probably is a weight limit to what he can draw in, and I don't think pulling in a character like Dobby closer to you is going to help you out in the fight. While doing research for this video, I also realized that the quirks Deku uses are pretty similar to those around him. Float is like Ochako and Gran Torino's quirk. Smokescreen is similar to Hagakure's or Invisible Girl's blinding light ability, or a non-offensive version of Bakugo's quirk. Black Whip is almost identical to Sero's tape. Danger Sense is like Jiro and Soji's searching abilities. and Fajin can be seen as All Might's crazy strength. With my vacuum quirk, it is very similar to Deku's mom's ability to attract small items. Even though this was completely coincidental, it works pretty well. The vacuum quirk over time becomes powerful, so powerful in fact that it becomes a singularity or black hole, taking everything like the Space Hero 13. However, this singularity can be shut out, making it like the purple technique from Jujutsu Kaisen. To go with the symbolism of quirks as tools, Deku can see this vacuum quirk as a gun. Oh my gosh, Deku with a gun? That's actually pretty crazy. But he can see this quirk as a gun. A very strong ability, but he will try his hardest not to use it unless completely necessary. I am very confident in my quirk idea, however, I can't figure out how the ability is going to be used to help him traverse the ocean. I can see it as a speed boost as he sucks in all the air around him and blasts it off and it bursts him in small boosts. However, that sounds and probably looks a lot like Air Force, which he's using now, so I can see why Horikoshi would not want to draw the same type of ability like that. But think about it. During the final battle, everyone is exhausted, and All For One slash Shigaraki gets the upper hand. And in the final effort, everyone releases an attack. Bakugo shoots an AP shot, Nejire fires off energy blasts, and Best Genius throws Denim at him. But all the attacks just land short of hitting All For One, as it gets sucked up by the vacuum quirk, powering it up as it gets bigger and bigger. Deku sends it off into one final blast that ends Shigaraki. And, I mean, that's just an idea. If I'm right, that would be crazy. But if I'm wrong, hey, it wouldn't be the first time someone got something wrong in a manga slash anime prediction. But if you have any ideas of what the quirk could be, leave it down in the comments below. And if you like my style of videos, subscribe. It's my first time doing YouTube and I hope you like it. I just want to build a pretty strong community of anime and manga lovers to talk about things that they love. And that's it. Peace.